Talent can obviously only take you so far. LSU is proving to be the classic example of that this year. A top 5 to 10 roster in the country, losing games and now losing by larger margins as we go. 42-21 against Kentucky on the road. We got Lon Phillips Sullivan on the line. Of course, join him on LSU Odyssey for the complete rundown on those Bayou Bengals. Lon, what's going on?
Mark, it's been good for me, but for LSU, it's been apocalyptic. It's just been a lot of bad headlines, Mark. Just one crazy thing after another.
The offseason was troubled by off the field allegations. Those are still simmering there. We won't focus on those, but please check out former videos where Lon really did a great breakdown of what the program is facing overall. I'm just stating that to set up now the in-season issues, which started on opening night at the Rose Bowl against UCLA. And since then, it's just, wow. There have been few highs. There was a win at Mississippi State in which they had a big lead and almost blew it, but did hang on for their lone SEC win. But most recently, the number that really caught my eye, and I watched a good portion of this game as well, was that Kentucky outrushed LSU something in the 330 to 70 range in that game. So it was a physical beating by the Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah, I mean, LSU finally got their own running game going with Ty Davis Price having nearly 150
True.
yards, but Kentucky just went right down LSU's mouth, right down LSU's throat for 331 yards. That was a part of the game that I thought LSU had cleaned up after absolute shellacking at the Rose Bowl. It seemed like, okay, they're kind of getting their feet back, but giving up something over 100 yards to Mississippi State, who barely run the ball, was kind of a little worrying to me. Going into Auburn, you saw what happened with Bo Nix. Wow. Letting that quarterback do that to those players, spinning away from B.J. Ojolari, spinning away from Ali Gay time after time after time, spinning away from Micah Baskerville, Devontae Strong, Major Burns. All of those guys had shots at him and could not get him to the ground. And then we did the same thing basically with Will Levis, spinning away from Eli Ricks. We'll get into why he has actually a torn labrum. That's mostly the reason why. But still, at the same time, Will Levis went for like 70-plus yards and like 2 rushing touchdowns on us. And Kentucky, 330 yards. That is the third straight season LSU has allowed a team to run for 300-plus yards on us in the SEC. The last 2 teams were Lane Kiffin coach teams with Ole Miss. Now, you let Kentucky do that to you, that is just soft. It was just soft, Mark. It was just transparent, predictable defensive line play. And horribly, just no gap sound whatsoever at the linebacker. Just the linebackers were completely anonymous, Mark.
That second half collapse against Auburn may prove to be Ed Ogeron's undoing, because at that point, sure, it was a disappointing start, but 3-1 had already picked up a win in the SEC on the road, outplayed Auburn through 3 quarters into the second half, where clearly weren't able to separate. That was obviously the issue. Weren't able to separate on the scoreboard, but we're clearly the better team on the field. So at that point, you're looking at 1-0 start, headed toward 2-0 against 2 pretty good teams. And since then, it's been just a rough go.
The Titanic, Mark. The Titanic comes to mind. It's just an utter collapse. Did not even see the iceberg coming. How LSU could not even get a play in on time. Why LSU's offense went away from the tempo into this check with me type of thing where Max Johnson is looking over, and Jake Peetz is having him just check with him on every damn play call. And then you got that offensive line that is just absolutely just diabolical. I think we rushed for like 26 yards for like 22 carries or something against Auburn. It was abysmal. It was something like 1.5, 1.7 yards per rush against Auburn. Absolutely just disastrous. And Auburn weren't even playing that great of a rushing defense against us. We just were just absolutely abysmal. Nowhere to go. This offensive line, Mark, has caused so many issues that Max has started to rush through his progressions because he's expecting pressure when, for once, there won't be any. Just because he's almost desensitized to the pressure. You can see him feeling the pressure when there's nothing there for once. And it's like, I feel bad for him. And that's just why the offensive line has been in such disarray, because even on the times they're successful in pass pro, it can be still disastrous for Max Johnson. It's been, we were expecting the defense to be shaky. We're expecting the offense to have questions, but we were never expecting such offensive ineptitude, just a disgrace rushing the ball. And then on defense, letting Kentucky do that to you, letting Bo Nix do that to you, letting Will Levis do that to you, absolutely just no excuses. We had a great game plan against Mississippi State defensively. We executed that. We went back to the 3-4. We kind of bended our philosophy a bit for once. And I actually liked that. When I saw what we lined up in the 3-4, I was like, okay, LSU are serious about winning this game today. Because we knew that's what it was going to take to beat, the air raid offense was to go back to the 3-4. We have failed to show that type of adaptability or any type of adjustments whatsoever, whether it be mid-game, fourth quarter, totally seeing everything in front of you, all these dead ball timeouts. Mark, it's just been an utter disgrace. And Coach O looks like his edge is gone. He looks tired. He looks like he doesn't care. He looks like he's aged a little. He looks like he's more interested in being a celebrity than being a coach.
We got Lon Phillip Sullivan on the line from LSU Odyssey. Lon's got a ton of great connections to recruiting, talking to family members. And if you just dive into LSUodyssey.com, you'll see what the approach that Lon takes in regards to covering LSU football. It's a unique approach. And again, he has worked hard to gain a lot of trust and connections throughout the LSU community and the extended community there to gain a lot of great information and insight and connections and build relationships there. So really the passing game has been the only thing that's had a bit of a pulse here. And I'm going to lead us into the injury count because Kayshon Boutte is one of the best in the country. And now he's out for the season after catching 8 against Kentucky. And my goodness, a lot of recognizable names on that list. We're talking about big-time players that are lost for the season.
Kayshon Boutte tied for number 1 in the nation with 9 touchdowns, and he didn't even score last game. His first game, he didn't even score this season, Mark. It was looking like my Biletnikoff prediction was going to be coming good. He was the best receiver in America. He makes an unbelievable, disgusting, filthy catch. And it looks like maybe even an Achilles injury as he does it. So hearing that it was just something with his ankle from his father, M. Boutte, was very relieving. But at the same time, also hearing the results of the scan was that he was going to be out for the season. It was a shocker. But at the same time, it happened in the middle of a game where just everything wasn't going LSU's way. It almost seemed like destiny to happen. Just bad luck all around, just bad vibes all around. I mean, this follows Derek Stingley Jr. going out for the season. Okay. And this also follows Andre Anthony tearing his ACL after his first defensive touchdown. He's second on the team in sacks, third in the nation in sacks, tears his ACL in a gimme game where he's probably going to pick up 2 or 3 more. You got Miles Brennan breaking his humerus on a boat trip, slip and fall injury 3 days before fall camp. He was going to be competing for the starting job. Maybe that could have improved the offense. Maybe it could have sharpened Jake Peace's play calling abilities, just having to be constantly on dial. But maybe once they knew it was going to be Max, they kind of got a little relaxed into their zone, and just this check with me offense has screwed everything up. But then Kayshon Boutte, you lose such a weapon like that. It's just sickening for the offense, who really needed a leader, and he was that guy. So while you still had that guy, you still had the capability to maybe drop 30 or 40 every game, Mark, if you could get an assist from the running game, at least a little, which we did last week. Ty Davis Price ran like an absolute freak. 147 yards, 2 touchdowns, absolute beast out there. But Ali Gay also goes down too, Mark. This week, LSU have had 3 All-American level players go down with season-ending injuries. Kayshon Boutte, cornerback Eli Ricks, already has an interception this season, 5 in his career in 14 games. Ali Gay, Kayshon Boutte, Eli Ricks all go down. You had the top 2 corners in the nation, Derek Stingley Jr. and Eli Ricks, both are gone with season-ending injuries. And now Ali Gay, defensive end, one of the best in the country, he's down. Major Burns, once you get Jay Ward back from a few games out with a concussion, and you only have your safety tandem together for a few games, and now Major Burns, who has an interception and a few pretty high-quality plays on the season to go with a few mistakes as well. Now he's gone for a few games. Joseph Evans, Chris Hilton's out with getting his knee cleaned out. And then, of course, that joins John Emery Jr. and Trey Bradford, who are both ineligible. It's crazy. There's a freshman receiver I can't name, but he's also out for a month with a hamstring injury. One of our most high-producing freshman receivers, he's going to be out as well. LSU, our number 1 target on offense, is going to have to be Jack Besh. Jack Besh is going to have to be the guy. It's going to have to be Besh. Malik Neighbors is going to have to step up. Brian Thomas is going to have to step up. We're really going to have a chance to see the freshman receiving core now, Mark. I mean, if we didn't before, now, like, it's not just, okay, we're going to test you guys out and you're going to contribute and we need you here and there. Now it's like LSU are going to have a losing season without these guys just, dialing it in.
And they run into another team that I don't want to call reeling, but it's been disappointing for Florida with a loss to Kentucky recently, coming off a nice effort against Bama, a game in which they should have been able to tie the game with an extra point, but missed an extra point, which forced them into a 2-point conversion situation. They lose that game 31-29. So Florida playing decent football, but again, from a win-loss standpoint, had expected to be a little bit better. So they're at 4-2. They come into Death Valley. And, this is typically one of the games of the year in the SEC, one of those highlight games. LSU, Florida, circle the calendar, but we are relegated to the SEC network at 11 a.m. Central Time for this one.
I know, Mark. 10 a.m. for me. It's like, thank you. Hit me in the head with a sledgehammer. Especially, here's the thing. If LSU can pull off a gutty performance against Florida, it would top last year's performance times 5, because we've just depleted everywhere. The news before Florida, though, last year, the week before that Florida game was crazy too, but nothing like this. The head coach who won a national championship with the greatest of all time college football team, coach of the year in college football 2 years ago, unanimously, is now not only on the rocks, but is most likely out the door. The preparations for him being out the door are already underway. The calls are being made, the discussions are being had. We'll get into that, but it's been a hell of a week. All these all-American talents gone. Literally, your 5 best players on your team gone. You could argue 5 best gone like that. Shocking. It's absolutely shocking. But going against Florida, this is the one thing I'm going to say, Mark, about the Florida matchup. Really, really want to focus on this, because this is it's very plain and simple. If LSU do this again, like they did with Kentucky, like they did with Auburn, we are absolutely going to get railroaded here by Dan Mullen. Emory Jones is the leading rusher for Florida, okay? 478 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6.4 per carry from Emory Jones. Here's the stat I want to focus on, though. Florida don't have a single rusher on their entire roster, Mark, who does not rush for less than 4 yards per carry. Everyone rushes for over 4 yards per carry. Crazy stat. But guess what? Everyone who has at least 20 carries rushes from between 5.1 per rush and 14.8. Okay, that's sick. That's sickening from their rushing group. I think it was 15 combined touchdowns. But if you're thinking Bo Nix was scary, what you saw against Bo Nix, if you're thinking what Will Levis, my God, if you're thinking what Will Levis did against LSU, Mark, strap it in, get ready for what Emory Jones might have to say to the LSU rushing defense, because he might just absolutely kick our ass and waste us out there.
Emory Jones and / Anthony Richardson, who comes in and relieves Emory Jones and is for as good as Emory Jones is as a running quarterback, and that's his forte, that Anthony Richardson is even more dynamic. So they're figuring that out.
Oh yeah, Richardson 21 carries for 311 yards. Dude, he's a freak.